Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive.
It's great to be back.
Today, we're taking a journey into the fascinating world of 17th century alchemy.
Oh, excellent.
Specifically, we'll be exploring Novum Lumen by Michael Sendivogius,
Fascinating text.
a text that boldly claims to hold the secrets to the Philosopher's Stone and the transmutation of metals.
Big claims.
Big claims indeed.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying we're going to find a recipe for turning lead into gold here.
Right.
But I think what we will find is that the ideas themselves are just as valuable.
What's so fascinating about Sendivogius is that he doesn't just throw around, that kind of mystical jargon that we tend to associate with alchemy.
Right.
He actually roots his whole approach to alchemy in a deep reverence for nature.
Okay.
He sees nature as this living entity infused with the universal spirit.
So it's not about like conjuring magic or anything like that. It's about understanding and working with the natural processes.
Exactly. And one of the key concepts that Sendivogius introduces is this idea of the seed of metals.
Okay, seed of metals.
This idea that each metal has this hidden essence that determines its properties.
So almost like challenging that usual view we have of metals as being these inert substances.
Absolutely. It challenges that perception.
Mm.
And you can think of it like this, a grain of wheat contains the blueprint for an entire plant, right?
Yeah.
Well, Sendivogius believed that metals have a similar life force,
Yeah.
a seed for further metallic generation.
Wow. And he even goes so far as to say that the gold that we see, the shiny stuff we all covet,
right, the gold we know,
is actually incomplete.
Precisely.
It's like an unripe plant lacking the Philosopher's Stone, which he calls its seed.
He actually compares it to an orange tree that can't bear fruit in a cold climate.
Okay.
It needs the right conditions to ripen and reach its full potential.
Right.
So he's suggesting that maybe gold as we know it also has a hidden potential waiting to be unlocked.
That's a really thought-provoking idea.
It is, isn't it?
And it reminds me of how he talks about transmutation.
Right.
Because he wasn't simply saying, oh, you can turn lead into gold magically or something like that.
Yeah, not at all.
He was describing specific processes,
Exactly.
For example, he talks about transmuting iron into copper.
Yes.
And he really highlights the hierarchical relationships between metals.
Yes, he does.
So almost like a ladder where some metals are easier to transform than others.
Well, he links each metal to a planet, and then he talks about their virtues descending, not ascending like in the planetary order.
Okay.
And that would explain why some transformations are easier than others.
Interesting. So let's get down to like the nitty-gritty here.
Yeah.
If we want to understand how this alchemical process supposedly works,
right,
what does Sendivogius actually tell us to do?
Well, he does give instructions, but they're shrouded in this cryptic language,
Oh, I bet.
He uses ingredients like our earth, living gold, and water of saltpeter.
Sounds like a recipe from a medieval apothecary?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
And I bet our listeners are just dying to know what these secret ingredients really are.
I'm sure they are.
But without getting bogged down in like the specifics, what are the big picture principles here?
Well, the overarching principles that Sendivogius focuses on are dissolution, purification, and coction.
Okay.
Essentially breaking down a substance, refining it, and then using heat to facilitate that transformation.
Got it.
And he describes specific colors that appear during the process, almost like stages in this complex chemical reaction.
So it's really all about meticulous control and observation.
Exactly.
Not just like blindly following a recipe.
It's about precision.
And Sendivogius really stresses the importance of the right vessel.
Yes.
And carefully regulated heat sources.
Absolutely.
Almost like a chef, using different pots and temperatures for various dishes.
Precisely, think of the vessel as a womb where the transformation takes place.
Okay.
And the fire as the life-giving warmth that nurtures it.
So the environment is just as crucial.
It's absolutely crucial.
As the materials themselves.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a much different image than that stereotypical alchemist, randomly mixing potions.
Yeah, it's a more nuanced understanding.
But I have to ask, what relevance does any of this have for someone listening in the 21st century?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Because Sendivogius concludes his text with this statement. He says that the essential substance for the alchemical work is openly displayed before the eyes of all, and yet is not known.
So this key ingredient is something we encounter daily.
Yeah.
But we don't recognize it for its transformative power.
Exactly.
What could it be?
That's the question he leaves us to ponder.
Water, air?
Maybe something more abstract like time?
I don't know.
And this hints at the deeper aim of alchemy.
Okay.
It's not just about the transmutation of metals,
Right.
but also about spiritual and personal evolution.
Now I'm starting to see how these ideas could be relevant today.
Well, think about it. The principles of alchemy separating the pure from the impure, seeking balance, striving for transformation.
Hmm.
Don't those resonate with our own lives, you know?
Yeah.
Whether we're trying to create gold or simply become better versions of ourselves.
You've definitely given me something to think about.
Good, that's the goal.
And I think that's a good place to pause for now.
Yeah, let's let that settle in.
And we'll come back and explore some more.
Sounds good. Welcome back to our deep dive into the alchemical world of Michael Sendivogius.
I'm still pondering that concept of putrefaction. It's amazing how he links it to both the creation of the Philosopher's Stone and our own personal growth.
It's a powerful idea, isn't it? And it connects beautifully with another central theme in Sendivogius' work, the concept of seed.
Ah, yes. The seed as a symbol of potential growth and the continuity of life. He uses it not just for plants and animals, but even for metals.
Precisely, it's not just about the literal seeds we see in nature. He's talking about a hidden essence within each substance, a spark of life that drives its development and transformation.
Right, he talks about the seed of metals, this subtle, unseen force that gives each metal its unique properties. And of course, he famously claimed that common gold lacks this seed needing to be ripened to create the Philosopher's Stone.
Exactly. And that ripening process, according to Sendivogius, involves awakening and cultivating this hidden seed, allowing it to blossom into its full potential.
It's almost like the alchemist is a gardener, tending to the seed within the alchemical substance, nurturing its growth and guiding its transformation.
A beautiful analogy. But Sendivogius emphasizes that this seed isn't something we can create. It's a gift from God, a fundamental principle woven into existence itself.
So the alchemist isn't trying to invent something new. They're working with the inherent potential that's already present.
Precisely. And this highlights the importance of working in harmony with nature, recognizing the inherent wisdom and transformative power within the natural world.
It reminds me of Sendivogius' deep reverence for nature, how he saw it as a living entity infused with a universal spirit.
Exactly. He believed that true alchemical success requires aligning oneself with the hidden forces that govern nature, working in partnership with them, not trying to dominate or control them.
So it's not about imposing our will on nature, but about listening to its subtle guidance and working with its inherent processes.
Precisely. And this listening requires a shift in perspective, a willingness to see the world through the lens of interconnectedness and potential.
It's like we need to cultivate our own inner alchemist to awaken our sensitivity to the hidden forces that shape everything around us.
That's a wonderful way to put it, and that's the power of Novum Lumen. It's not to the book about alchemy. It's an invitation to engage in a profound exploration of the mysteries of the universe and our place within it.
It's definitely inspiring me to delve deeper into this alchemical worldview. But before we get too carried away, I think we need to circle back to something we touched on earlier, that idea of supernatural generation.
Ah, yes. A fascinating concept, and one that might initially sound a bit perplexing. Remember we were talking about how Sendivogius compared the alchemical vessel to a womb? Well, he takes this analogy even further, suggesting that the creation of the Philosopher's Stone is like a birth, a process mirroring the generation of life itself.
Supernatural generation. So it's not just about mixing ingredients, it's about creating something entirely new, something that possesses its own unique life force.
Precisely. He uses language that evokes both the biological and the spiritual. He talks about the alchemical substance being nourished with the milk of the earth and regulated and conserved by the putrefaction of the surrounding substance.
Milk of the earth. That sounds incredibly symbolic. What's he referring to?
It's a metaphor for the subtle, nourishing essences found within the earth itself, substances that support the growth and development of the alchemical creation.
So the alchemical substance is being fed and nurtured by the very essence of nature. It's like a child growing in the womb, drawing sustenance from its mother.
Yes, exactly. Sendivogius saw a deep connection between the alchemical work and the processes of nature, recognizing that both involved the transformation of matter through the interaction of subtle forces and energies.
It's such a beautiful and intricate vision, and it seems like metals play a crucial role in all of this. Remember how we talked about the seed of metals and the idea that even common gold is like an unripe plant?
Yes, indeed. He argued that gold needed to be ripened to produce its seed, the Philosopher's Stone. And he described this ripening process in terms of a hierarchical relationship between the metals, drawing parallels to the order of the planets.
Wait, there's a connection between metals and planets. Tell me more about that.
Sendivogius saw a clear correspondence. He placed Saturn, the furthest planet from the Sun, at the top of this hierarchy, followed by Jupiter, Mars, the Sun, representing gold, Venus, Mercury, and finally the Moon, representing silver.
So each metal occupies a specific place in this hierarchy, and some are closer to the Philosopher's Stone than others.
Precisely. And this hierarchy, according to Sendivogius, reflects the ease with which one metal can be transmuted into another. For example, he says that Mars, iron, can easily be transformed into Venus, copper, but not the other way around.
So the higher a metal sits in this hierarchy, the harder it is to transmute it into a lower metal. And gold being associated with the sun is quite high up, isn't it?
Exactly. That's why he compares common gold to an unripe plant. It's inherently resistant to transformation because of its high position in this hierarchy.
So to create the Philosopher's Stone, you need to overcome this resistance and unlock the hidden potential within gold.
That's the challenge. The alchemist must break down the barriers, preventing gold from reaching its full potential through a series of carefully orchestrated steps.
It's like they're coaxing the gold to blossom, to reveal its hidden seed. And this coaxing process involves not only the right ingredients and the right vessel, but also the right kind of fire.
You're catching on. Quickly, remember how Sendivogius distinguished between external fire and the natural fire that drives transformation from within?
Right, he compared it to the heat of the central sun within the earth. It seems like achieving this balance of fire is crucial for success.
Absolutely. Applying this fire with precision and care is essential, ensuring the alchemical substance is neither overheated nor underheated. It's about finding the perfect balance, the sweet spot where transformation can occur.
It all sounds incredibly nuanced and complex, like a delicate dance between elements and forces.
It is, and it underscores the importance of approaching alchemy not just as a set of recipes, but as a profound exploration of the hidden forces governing both nature and the human spirit.
Sendivogius is inviting us to engage in a dialogue with nature, to learn from its wisdom and work with its rhythms. But speaking of recipes, I'm still curious about those cryptic instructions he gives for creating the Philosopher's Stone.
Ah, yes, those enigmatic ingredients. Remember how he mentioned using our earth, living gold, and living silver? Well, he never explicitly defines them, leaving it to the reader to decipher their true nature.
It's like a treasure hunt where we have to piece together the clues he scattered throughout the text.
Exactly. He believed that true knowledge comes from active seeking and discovery, not simply being told it's a challenge, but a rewarding one for those who persevere.
So we gather these mysterious ingredients, but then what do we actually do with them?
Sendivogius outlines a series of steps involving dissolving, purifying, and recombining them in specific ways, always emphasizing the importance of carefully regulating the heat, observing the colors that appear, and making adjustments as needed. He even provides instructions for testing the substance to ensure it's developing as intended.
It sounds like a delicate and intricate process, like a dance between the alchemist and the elements.
Precisely, the alchemist must be attuned to the subtle cues and feedback, just like a skilled dancer responding to their partner's movements.
We've already talked about the colors that appear during the process, but I'm curious to hear more about their significance. Why are they so important?
They act as signposts along the alchemical journey, much like the changing colors of the sky at dawn or sunset. Each hue signals a specific alchemical process, a shift in the internal structure and properties of the matter being worked on.
So the alchemist isn't just idly watching a pretty light show. They're carefully interpreting these colors, knowing that each one represents a critical step in the process.
Exactly. It's like watching a master painter meticulously layering colors to create a masterpiece.
It's a beautiful image that highlights the blend of art and science inherent in alchemy.
Precisely. And as the colors shift and change, Sendivogius describes ashes of a brown color settling at the bottom of the vessel while the liquid itself becomes almost red. He instructs the alchemist to open the vessel and test the liquid with a feather, applying it to a piece of iron to see if it imparts a color.
It's another one of those tests, like a checkpoint to ensure things are progressing as they should.
Precisely, if the test is successful, it means the alchemical substance is becoming increasingly potent, capable of influencing other matter. It's a sign that the alchemist is moving closer to their goal.
So they're gradually refining and concentrating the transformative power of their creation, moving closer to the Philosopher's Stone. And what comes next in this intricate process?
This is where Sendivogius introduces a new element, one we've already touched upon, a specific kind of water he calls the menstruum of the world.
I remember you mentioned this mysterious water before. You said it was incredibly potent, capable of even calcining the sun. But what is it exactly? Where does it come from?
That's the mystery. Sendivogius describes it as a substance imbued with incredible power, capable of purifying and transforming, even gold itself. He hints at its lunar origin, stating that it comes from the sphere of the moon and has been carefully rectified to achieve its incredible potency.
So it's not just any ordinary water. It's almost like a mystical elixir imbued with lunar energies.
It's a fascinating concept, and one that speaks to the depth and complexity of Sendivogius's alchemical system. But he leaves the exact nature of this menstruum of the world open to interpretation, inviting us to ponder its mysteries and perhaps even seek it out in our own explorations.
It's another one of those tantalizing clues he leaves for us to follow, but before we get too lost in speculation, let's remember the bigger picture here. What's the ultimate purpose of all this alchemical work? Is it just about creating the Philosopher's Stone and transmuting base metals into gold?
That's a great question, and one that brings us back to the heart of Sendivogius's alchemical philosophy. Remember, he viewed the Philosopher's Stone not just as a tool for material transformation, but also as a symbol of spiritual perfection. It represented the transformative power that lies dormant within each of us, the potential for spiritual growth and enlightenment.
So the alchemical process, even the creation of the Philosopher's Stone, is ultimately a metaphor for our own personal journeys of transformation.
Precisely, Sendivogius suggests that by understanding and applying the principles of alchemy, we can purify and refine not just metals, but our own souls as well.
It's a beautiful and inspiring idea, one that speaks to the enduring relevance of alchemy even in our modern world.
Absolutely, and as we delve further into Novum Lumen, we'll continue to uncover these layers of meaning, exploring how Sendivogius's insights into the natural world can illuminate our own paths to self-discovery and spiritual growth.
I can't wait to see what other secrets this text holds, but I think we've covered a lot of ground in this segment, and our listeners could probably use a moment to digest everything we've discussed.
A wise observation. It's important to savor these alchemical insights and allow them to percolate in our minds.
We'll be back shortly to continue our deep dive into the fascinating world of Michael Sendivogius and his Novum Lumen.
Until then, may your explorations be filled with wonder and discovery.
Welcome back to our deep dive. It feels like every time we dig deeper into Sendivogius's Novum Lumen, we uncover even more fascinating layers.
Absolutely. Novum Lumen is like a gift that keeps on giving.
And one of the most interesting aspects that we haven't touched on yet is Sendivogius's view of the three kingdoms of nature, mineral, vegetable, and animal.
Oh, yes. His understanding of these kingdoms is crucial to his alchemical philosophy.
He places humanity at the top of this hierarchy, the animal kingdom.
Right, at the pinnacle.
Suggesting that by understanding the principles at work in the mineral and vegetable kingdoms, we can unlock the secrets of spiritual transformation.
It's all interconnected.
Yeah, and if you recall earlier, we talked about how he compared the generation of metals within the earth to the process of seeds germinating in plants.
Right. He saw a clear parallel there.
So it's like he's saying that humans also possess a kind of seed.
A spiritual seed, if you will.
Yeah, that holds the potential for our own growth and evolution.
Exactly. And that brings us to the heart of Sendivogius's alchemical philosophy.
Okay.
The idea that the true goal of alchemy isn't just about transmuting metals,
right,
but about transforming the soul.
So it's like using this language of alchemy to describe this path to enlightenment.
Precisely a process of purifying and refining our inner selves to achieve spiritual wholeness.
Are you saying then that we're all alchemists in a way?
In a sense, yes, we're all working with the raw materials of our lives to create something more precious and enduring. Just like the creation of the Philosopher's Stone, this personal transformation, it requires effort and surrender, a willingness to embrace both the breaking down and the rebuilding.
And this reminds me of that idea of putrefaction again.
Yes.
Where growth emerges from letting go of the old.
It's a cycle of death and rebirth,
woven into the fabric of existence.
Sendivogius is encouraging us to look beyond the surface, to seek those hidden connections and potentials that reside within all things.
And this brings us back to that final challenge he gives us.
Oh, yes.
The essential substance for the alchemical work is openly displayed before the eyes of all, and yet is not known.
It's his final riddle.
A call to keep searching.
To refine our alchemical vision and discover that transformative power hidden in plain sight.
So he's basically saying that the key to unlocking the secrets of alchemy, and ultimately our own souls, doesn't lie in some far-off laboratory, but in the everyday world around us.
It's a message of empowerment. We all have the potential to become alchemists.
To transform our own lives and the world around us.
By tapping into those hidden forces and wisdom that are always present.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Novum Lumen,
yes,
the question that really lingers for me is, What is that essential substance?
Mm.
That transformative power that we see every day but fail to recognize?
It's the ultimate alchemical mystery.
Is it love consciousness, the act of seeking itself?
That, my friend, is the quest that Sendivogius invites us all to embark on.
And as we go forth on this journey, I
Yeah.
think it's important to remember those core principles that he so beautifully articulated.
Absolutely.
Reverence for nature,
Yes.
a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of all things,
Mhm.
and that belief in the transformative power that resides within each of us.
Beautifully put.
Well, thank you so much for guiding us through this fascinating exploration of Novum Lumen.
It's been a pleasure.
And to our listeners out there, may your own journeys be filled with wonder, insight, and the joy of alchemical discovery.
Until next time.